the next topic, of course, is one that, well, I mean, the person who has shot them up to these heights has gotten himself into trouble because of things he said, and something that he had written on his boots, and it's something that he sang in a McDonald's, which people have been asking for McDonald's in the UK to make a McMullen. This will explain why. That is Paul Mullen, the superstar striker who came in to Wrexham AFC and sort of shot them up from the National League, non-league, into League Two. Straight away to Andrew Rees. Andrew, fairy tale story, Hollywood ending in a way. Two major stars, Ryan Reynolds, superstar, Canadian, of course, wannabe American, of course. He's kind of putting the money behind him. Rob McElhenney, of course, a great writer and I love him as an actor. I think he's very, very good. They bought Wrexham. When Wrexham were kind of struggling in a way, they put money into the ground, put money into the stadium. They made a series about it, a very good series of which I watched and I genuinely enjoyed. Wasn't as good as Sunderland Until I Die, because that was just gripping. But still, with Wrexham, We Are Wrexham. Great watching, great city, of course, great town in Wales as well. Tell us a bit about Wrexham. Tell us a bit about how it is affecting soccer stateside.
It's been incredible. I really, it felt so gimmicky at the beginning. When you hear that Reynolds and McElhenney bought it for £2.5 million, and the first season of the show was, they didn't get promoted, and some of the players, they knew that their time was going to be short once more money was put into the club, but watching it and watching what's unfolded, it's funny. Just last night on Twitter, I saw somebody post, that they see more Americans talking about Wrexham online than they do about MLS, Major League Soccer, and it kind of points to, of course, the drama and the fairy tale season that they've had this season. But a lot of people here in the US are so in touch with the need for promotion and relegation, and how MLS, this closed entity, it's kind of stale. You can watch teams tank. You can watch teams phone in the last part of their season when they don't care anymore because they're not getting the drop, because there is no drop in the United States. And so to watch this team work to move up, and it's really been captivating on the American side. And you've seen a lot of Americans that are tuning in to watch Wrexham play in the FA Cup at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. on a weekend. And they never would have gone to watch a National League side play in a game like that ever before. And so, the crowd, I mean, they're on ESPN Plus here, all of their games, and they have quite a large viewership in all of their games. And so Americans are captivated by this story.
Again, the discussion, I'm going to ask you one question with this at the moment, because this is something that bugged me even when I was in Canada, playing in Canada. And it was discussed at Soccer Canada level, so at the very, very top level it was discussed. And that's promotion relegation, a kind of pyramid scheme. Sorry, that sounds bad. A pyramid. Yeah, it is a scheme. So with that, I mean, two questions on it. Is Wrexham drawing people away from the MLS? And secondly, would promotion relegation help US soccer, or is it better to leave it as it is because it is going quite well?
Yeah. So I think that Wrexham is probably drawing away the average soccer fan that has not picked a Major League Soccer side to support. Just the pageantry of it. And also there's a new TV deal this year in Major League Soccer where all of the games are on Apple TV Plus. And the subscription fee is not, it's a little more expensive than it probably should be. And so I think the average soccer fan in the United States is not watching as much Major League Soccer this season. And they're watching more of other teams that are more interesting. And I think Wrexham is more interesting than than Major League Soccer to the average fan. Now, if you follow one team closely and you're heavily invested in them, then you probably got the Apple TV plan and you're probably watching Major League Soccer just as much. But the average fan, I would bet a lot of money that they're probably watching and choosing to watch teams like Wrexham over the average Major League Soccer game. As for the promotion and relegation side, that's, the league was built to avoid that. You have these billionaires that are investing in this closed system and the TV deals and the money that they're making out of it. And I guarantee you, none of them were investing money with the risk of taking a drop and moving down a league and not getting that same sort of revenue. And so it's really, and no matter how many people say that promotion and relegation should happen here, it's not going to happen unless MLS grows to 50 teams and creates a second tier, but still in a closed system. It's not how American sports work, and the average American owner is not wanting to risk their money by putting them into a system that's open.
And I think there's an awful lot to be said about that as well. And because we saw with the European Super League and so on, and how they wanted to sort of tailor it like that. Even as it is, the Champions League, for want of a better word, is a closed system. I mean, it's very, there's maybe 12 teams who are going to win it. So basically just let them play away themselves and get on with it. Quickly ask the guys, Andrew, on that. I mean, Wrexham, again, it is kind of a nice story, feel-good story. But can it last? Because this isn't Hollywood. There is no happy endings. I mean, and I'm not going to go towards Thailand or that, so I'm just going to ask you on that.
Well, look, I follow not as my first team, but my local side back in England, Altrincham, who've been in the same division of the National League as Wrexham, and there were a lot of fans who, understandably, I would say, feel a lot of enmity towards them. They don't like how they've come in and spent the money. They have spent money. The wages are very high. Some of these players have come from league football and have dropped down. But look, they've been getting crowds of 10,000 fans for the fifth tier. Now they're back up to the Football League. I went to watch Wrexham about 25 years ago with a friend of mine who was a fan at the time, and we saw a fairly gritty performance. There were probably 2,000 or 3,000 people in the stadium then. Now, if they've got 10,000 already, they've got the momentum behind them. And it's impossible to say long term, but it does look very much like Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds are really committed to this. They clearly love the passion they're getting out of this. And I don't think they're going to go away. I think the investment's going to stay. And now they realise they could go places. I think when you say, is the fairy tale going to last? It depends what the fairy tale is. Is the fairy tale just getting back into the Football League? Some would argue it is. How far can Wrexham go? Well, in theory, they could go all the way. Who knows? I actually think this is going to be a very interesting story. And I understand how not everybody is enamored by, for some people, it just isn't a fairy tale. They bought their way, and they have. There's no point trying to say anything else. But they have stuck at it. Like Andrew pointed out, they didn't get promoted at the first time of asking. They didn't just, we've had a go for a season and it's not worked out. They stuck around. I think they will stick around. And I'm very, very intrigued to see how far they can go. Because in theory, there is a relatively open ceiling for them to keep going. I think they could keep. I'd say they'd be one of the favourites for promotion up to League One next season.
Just seen a message come through. Frank Harper said, "Would people be interested if it was Tom Hanks as owner and not two pretty boys?" Yeah, Keane. What do you think of that?
I don't think Tom Hanks would probably stick around as long as the two lads. I think the two lads are getting such a kick out of it. But I think there's a cautionary tale for Wrexham. Wonderful that they're back in League Two, but they've got to take one look at Salford. Salford did exactly what Wrexham have done. They got the financial injection from the ex-Manchester United legends, or whatever you want to call them, and that sustained them and got them into League Two. And they were fine. They were doing their utmost. They were pushing up the table, but I think they're stuck around mid-table at the moment. So it's still a cautionary tale. I think you take League Two as it is next year, see how you get on. If you can progress up the table, get halfway up the table, get towards promotion, as Andrew has said, and see where you can go. But definitely, the excitement has to probably stay within it, and I'm sure the excitement is there from the supporters, from the two owners as well. The excitement is there from the different clips that you see. There is genuine excitement there, whether that's, as you said about Vincent Company, Andrew, whether that's just for the cameras and there's no real excitement there. It's definitely something to look at, but they'll definitely make a play to try and get to League One at the very least. But there's definitely a word of caution to them that it can come to a grinding halt very, very quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen teams like, okay, for example, Fulham rising up from that level. We've also seen Man City rising up. We've also seen Wolves rising up as well. So there are stories where with solid investment, but there is a large fan base. Wrexham, basically, I think 15,000 will be a max of what they can do, and that's not going to sustain them above the championship. It'll keep them in the championship, in my opinion. But Salford is right. Again, there was a terrific documentary series on Salford City. I can't remember what it was called. It was really a lovely behind-the-scenes one, and showed kind of how they rose away up into the Northern Premier League and how they were building their way up. And it was very interesting, just the sort of the grittiness and that the fight at that level. So again, it was all the guys there, and of course, then they had a huge amount of money put in. Andrew, you wanted to come back in?
I think one thing that fascinates me alongside this is, the Ben Fosters essentially volunteering to play. And I saw an article the other day of Hal Robson-Kanu saying he wanted to join up and play as well. And seeing guys like that are invested as well, you can see that there's, high level footballers that are, of course, at the very end of their careers, but are interested in joining this story as well. It makes it all the more of a fairy tale. But just as interesting for Wrexham to me is Notts County and when they go up as well, because they both essentially ran through the National League in the same way. And Notts County, unless a disaster happens and they don't make it through the promotion playoffs, I think they will feel like that, the stepbrother that was not talked about at all. And it wouldn't surprise me if they have every bit as good of a season in League Two as Wrexham coming up.
That's a very good point. I mean, I have a real soft spot for Notts County because I actually trialed with them, and I was with them the year they actually went up. They went up to the old First Division, which of course was they played 91-92 in the First Division, got relegated straight back down. If they stayed up, they would have been in the Premier League. It would have been just huge. I unfortunately broke my wrist and was sent home. Neil Warnock was there, one of the best people you ever want to meet. I dislike it when I see him getting a bad press because he's a really, really lovely guy. There is a kind of a memory from that season actually, which it kind of, I think it's definitely worth review. We'll come back to in a little bit. But okay, so we're all in agreement that they should be able to sustain it. They could get like an Asian sort of investor like Salford got. I think it was Peter Lim, I think it was. So I mean, I'm sure there's some.
Well, they already have sponsorship from an Asian tech company, TikTok sponsoring them. So
Yeah, there you go. So basically, all those Wrexham fans who are celebrating, just so you know, all your personal data is now in Beijing.
I'm just going to say they could easily look to the Chinese government for a short-term loan.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be great? Actually, it's like because they're wearing red. It's just like dragons. Like that would be just. And how would that go on Apple TV? I mean, Andrew, how would that go in America if Wrexham suddenly were bought over by G?
That would ruin a bit of the luster, I believe. Yeah, I would hate to see them go that route. But teams always need more money as they move up that ladder, and we've seen it before where teams are willing to take money from wherever it comes from. So you never know.
There you go. I mean, United are going to be sold to Qatar, and the Kerry side apparently have a Russian oligarch coming in to take them over next year. So there you go. Right.